A military helicopter cuts through smoke-filled skies carrying Thomas and the other maze survivors away from the facility where they spent years trapped. Below them stretches endless desert wasteland dotted with ruined cities. The pilot suddenly banks hard and Thomas sees hundreds of people stumbling through the sand, their skin covered in black veins and eyes completely white. These are cranks, humans infected by the flare virus that destroyed civilization. The helicopter lands near a massive compound and armed soldiers immediately form a protective circle around the teenagers. Inside the facility, they're greeted by a man named Jansen who introduces himself as the person running this place. He explains Wicked has been hunting immune teenagers, but this compound is a safe haven. Jansen leads them through corridors filled with other teenagers. Thomas realizes there were multiple mazes and all these kids survived their own trials. The group is taken to a medical bay where doctors give them vitamin shots and run blood tests. Thomas notices Dr. Crawford paying special attention to Teresa. The teenagers are taken to a large cafeteria where dozens of other kids are eating. Thomas's group sits down, amazed by the amount of food available. They meet another survivor who points out a quiet boy named Eris sitting alone. Eris used to be in a maze filled mostly with girls, and he's the only male who survived. That evening, Jansen enters the cafeteria and calls out several names. These teenagers are told they're being relocated to a safe zone. Everyone claps as the chosen kids leave through a door. Thomas watches them go and something feels wrong. Later in their sleeping quarters, Thomas talks with Newt and Miho about how strange this place feels. As he tries to sleep, he hears a faint whispering sound from above. He looks up and is shocked to see Eris's face peering down from an air vent. Eris gestures for Thomas to follow him. After several minutes of crawling, they reach a vent overlooking a restricted corridor. Eris points down and Thomas sees Dr. Crawford and nurses wheeling bodies on gurneys covered with white sheets. Eris whispers that every night they bring people down this hallway. He's been watching for days but never seen anyone come back out. The next day during lunch, Jansen calls another group of names for relocation. Thomas stands up and tries following them, but guards step in his way. He pushes forward, demanding to know where they're really going. The guards grab him and his friends pull him back. Once locked in their room, Thomas reveals he didn't actually want to follow those kids. He just needed a distraction. He holds up a security keycard he stole during the struggle. Newt thinks they should trust Jansen instead of risking everything. Thomas argues that something is very wrong here. At that moment, Eris appears in the vent again. Several of Thomas's friends, including Miho and Frypan, follow him through the ventilation system. They crawl until reaching a secure door. Thomas uses the stolen keycard, and the door slides open, revealing a laboratory filled with strange equipment. The boys climb down and start exploring. In one section, they find massive glass tanks filled with mechanical creatures. Thomas recognizes them immediately as grievers, the same monsters that hunted them in the maze. They move deeper and enter another room that makes them freeze in horror. Dozens of teenagers are hanging from the ceiling unconscious with tubes attached to their bodies. Glowing blue liquid is being extracted from them. These are the kids who were supposedly relocated to safety. Suddenly, they hear footsteps, so the boys rush to hide behind equipment. Jansen enters talking on a phone. He activates a large screen showing Ava Page. Thomas thought she was dead, but here she is alive and clearly running wicked. She asks about the harvest, and he reports they have enough subjects. Ava tells him to sedate and prep all remaining teenagers because she's flying in tomorrow. The boys wait until Jansen leaves, then crawl back through the vents as fast as possible. They drop into their sleeping quarters and wake the others. Thomas quickly explains everything they saw, the harvesting, the grievers, and that Ava Page is alive running wicked. Newt realizes this means the facility is another wicked trap. They need to escape immediately. Suddenly, there's loud banging on their door. Jansen's voice demands they open up. The boys push furniture against the door to buy time and climb into the vents just as guards break through. Thomas leads the group through twisting passages until they drop into a medical corridor. They grab Dr. Crawford and Thomas demands she take them to Teresa. Crawford tries to refuse, but Miho forces her to cooperate. Alarms start blaring and red lights flash in every hallway. Crawford leads them to a laboratory where Teresa is lying on a medical bed, connected to monitoring equipment. Thomas disconnects the tubes and wakes her up. Guards appear at the corridor end, so Thomas smashes a window and they all climb through as bullets start flying. The group keeps running until they reach a large gate blocking their path. Thomas tries the keycard, but this door requires higher security. Behind them, Jansen appears with armed guards. He tells them to stop running because the world outside will kill them faster. Jansen explains the flare virus has turned most of humanity into cranks and there's nowhere safe to go. Thomas yells back that Wicked has been torturing kids for years. Suddenly, the gate starts opening and Eris appears on the other side. He stayed behind to help them escape. Thomas fires the stun gun at Jansen's group, forcing them to take cover. The teenagers rush through and Eris destroys the control panel. They run to an armory where Eris had already prepared weapons and supplies. Each person grabs what they can carry. The group sprints to the facility's main exit. Immediately, a wall of sand and wind hits them. Outside is a massive sandstorm, reducing visibility to almost zero. Thomas leads his friends into the blinding sand, holding onto each other. Exhausted and covered in sand, the group collapses near ruins of an old building. They go inside to rest. While exploring, they discover fresh footprints and follow them to a room stocked with supplies. Someone has been living here recently. Thomas and Miho enter a different section and find a corpse near cables leading to a generator. Miho gets it running and suddenly all the lights turn on. The sudden brightness reveals dozens of cranks hiding in the darkness. They screech and charge at Thomas and Miho, who run back the way they came. Thomas yells for everyone to run. The entire group flees through the crumbling building. A crank bursts through a window and tackles Newt, trying to bite his face. The group kicks it off and pulls Newt to safety. They find a narrow passage and squeeze through one by one. At the end is a locked door. Winston volunteers to hold the cranks back and starts firing his gun. Each shot echoes as infected bodies pile up. The others finally break the door open and Winston backs through, still firing. But a crank's diseased fingers rake across Winston's stomach. The group finds a secure room and barricades themselves inside. They check Winston's injury and see deep scratches. He insists he's fine, but everyone can see black veins spreading from the wounds. The crank infection is taking hold. Morning arrives, and they carefully leave, discovering they're in a massive ruined city. Suddenly, they hear helicopter rotors. Everyone dives for cover as wicked choppers fly overhead, searching for them. Winston suddenly collapses, unable to walk. His infection has progressed rapidly overnight. They fashion a stretcher and take turns carrying him. For hours, the group crosses the scorching desert, with Winston getting worse. During a rest stop, Teresa pulls Thomas aside and shows him a tattoo on her neck. The words "the betrayer" are marked on her skin. She tells Thomas her memories have returned. Teresa thinks they should return to Wicked because creating a cure is more important than revenge. Thomas refuses, saying Wicked has killed too many innocent people. They hear a gunshot and run back to find Winston holding Miho's gun. The others had caught him trying to take his own life. Winston lifts his shirt, showing the infection has spread across his entire body. He's vomiting black blood. He tells them he wants to end it on his own terms before losing his humanity. The group says goodbye and walks away. Moments later, they hear the gunshot that ends his suffering. The journey continues, with the group suffering through unbearable heat. Their water runs out completely. Several days pass and everyone is near collapse. One night, Thomas sees lights flickering in the distance. A massive electrical storm appears with lightning bolts striking the ground. The group runs toward the lights. They sprint, dodging lightning that crashes around them. One bolt suddenly strikes Miho directly. He's unconscious and not breathing. His friends desperately drag his body while avoiding more strikes. They reach an abandoned building and carry Miho inside. Teresa performs chest compressions, and after several tense moments, Miho gasps back to life. While catching their breath, Teresa smells something wrong. Suddenly, a crank lunges out of the darkness. She dodges, and the group realizes dozens of cranks are chained to the walls. A flashlight turns on, and they see a teenage girl named Brenda standing there. Armed survivors appear, surrounding Thomas's group. They're taken to meet Jorge, the leader. He's suspicious and demands to know where they came from. When they refuse, his men use a device to scan their necks. Hidden tattoos appear, marking Thomas and Teresa as Wicked property. Jorge realizes they're valuable and could be traded. He orders his men to hang the entire group upside down from hooks. The teenagers dangle helplessly, and Jorge tells Brenda to pack supplies. He plans to trade these kids to the right arm. Meanwhile, Thomas and the others swing their bodies, creating momentum. Teresa manages to reach a lever and pulls it. The hooks release and everyone crashes to the floor. Suddenly, gunfire erupts as Wicked soldiers storm the building. Jansen's voice demands everyone surrender. Teresa frees the others and they start running. A large man blocks their path, calling out to Wicked soldiers. Before he can fire, Brenda appears and shoots the man first. She tells them she knows a way out. Jorge finishes setting explosives and plays a song to mask the noise. He opens a window, revealing a zip line between buildings. He goes first, then the teenagers follow. Thomas is about to cross when Brenda runs back. He chases after her and they end up surrounded by Wicked soldiers. Brenda opens fire, forcing them to take cover. She and Thomas escape by walking across a narrow steel beam. When the song ends, Jorge's explosives detonate. A massive explosion tears through the building. The structure starts collapsing and they run as debris falls. They find cables attached to an elevator shaft and slide down. The cables slow their fall enough to survive, but the shaft is blocked, leaving only one exit through the sewers. They navigate through dark tunnels and discover strange glowing plants. A crank is attached to the plant matter. The sound alerts dozens more cranks who appear from side passages. Thomas hits one, creating a gap, and they start running. The cranks chase them until Thomas and Brenda reach a section of collapsed building. They start climbing while cranks follow below. Brenda kicks a crank in the face, but when she grabs a metal bar, it breaks. She falls and crashes through a cracked window. A crank attacks her on the glass. Thomas climbs down and pulls Brenda away before smashing the glass completely. They climb out and stumble into open air. Brenda reveals a bite mark on her leg. She insists she's fine. They walk for hours until finding a settlement. Looking for information about the right arm, they approach a man named Marcus. He forces them to drink something before allowing them inside. While searching for their friends, Thomas notices people shooting a chained crank. Brenda is affected by whatever Marcus gave them. She asks Thomas to stay and kisses him, but Thomas pulls away. Brenda walks off hurt and Thomas tries following, but he starts seeing disturbing visions. The hallucinations get worse until he collapses. Thomas wakes up in an old warehouse. His friends are there and Jorge is beating Marcus for information. Marcus is bloody and terrified. He finally admits he's been drugging teenagers and handing them over to Wicked. Jorge kicks Marcus hard. Marcus breaks and reveals the right arm has an outpost hidden in the mountains. Jorge decides they should steal Marcus's vehicle. They find his car and drive through the wasteland for hours. They reach mountainous terrain and the road becomes blocked. The group continues on foot. Suddenly gunfire erupts and everyone dives for cover. Jorge prepares to throw a grenade. Before he can, two armed women appear. They're aggressive but calm down when they recognize Eris. The women explain they were in the same maze as Eris. They lower their weapons and call for the rebels to stand down. The right-arm fighters escort Thomas's group to their secret settlement. Inside they meet the leader Vince. Suddenly Brenda collapses. Vince sees her bite mark and raises his gun. Thomas begs him not to shoot. A woman named Mary pushes through and stops Vince. She recognizes Thomas from his time working at Wicked. Mary tells Vince that Thomas is the insider who leaked critical information to the right arm. Without that intelligence, the rebels would never have survived. Thomas's leaked data helped them rescue captured children. The memory comes flooding back to Thomas. He remembers being horrified by Wicked's experiments and secretly contacting the right-armed. Mary takes Brenda to a medical tent. She tells Thomas that during high-stress situations, immune teenagers produce a special enzyme that fights the flare virus. This enzyme can't be artificially created, which is why Wicked harvests it directly from living subjects. Teresa secretly watches this conversation. Mary draws blood from Thomas and uses it to create a serum that she injects into Brenda. The infection stops spreading. That evening, Thomas finds Teresa sitting alone. She tells him about her mother's slow death from the flare virus. Teresa explains she doesn't want other families to suffer, which is why she's been secretly working for Wicked. She believes creating a cure justifies the experiments. Before Thomas can respond, Teresa admits she called Wicked and told them exactly where the camp is. The sound of helicopter rotors fills the air. Wicked choppers appear and soldiers rappel down, opening fire. The camp erupts into chaos as rebels try to flee while Vince and his guards shoot back. Thomas finds the medical tent on fire. Thankfully, Jorge and Brenda already escaped. Wicked soldiers throw stun grenades that knock down Vince and most fighters, including Thomas's friends. Jorge wants to run, but Thomas refuses to abandon everyone. He tells Jorge to escape with Brenda while he stays behind. Once the soldiers have rounded up all unconscious rebels, Thomas walks out with his hands up. Jansen immediately punches Thomas. Moments later, a larger aircraft lands and Ava Page steps out. She walks over to Teresa, confirming she's been working as a Wicked agent. Mary confronts them, calling them murderers. Jansen calmly pulls out his pistol and shoots Mary in the chest. The soldiers start dragging Thomas toward the aircraft, but he reveals he's holding a grenade. He threatens to blow himself up unless Ava releases all captured teenagers. Before Thomas can pull the pin, Jorge suddenly drives a truck at full speed into the camp. He crashes into a van, creating a large explosion. Thomas throws his grenade at soldiers, killing them instantly. Rebels who were only stunned start waking up and grabbing weapons. A massive firefight breaks out across the camp. Vince mans a heavy machine gun and shoots down one of the helicopters. It crashes in a fireball. During the chaos, a soldier hits Mijo with a stun dart, and others drag his unconscious body toward the aircraft. Thomas tries to reach him, but Jorge tackles him. Jorge forces Thomas to retreat into the mountains with fleeing rebels. Thomas watches helplessly as Jansen and Teresa board the aircraft with their prisoners. The helicopter lifts off, carrying Mijo and half the captured teenagers away. Thomas screams Mijo's name, but it's too late. The sun rises over the destroyed camp, and the remaining rebels sit in defeated silence. They've lost too many people. Everyone is ready to give up and hide, but Thomas stands and announces he's done running away. He tells them he's going to infiltrate Wicked's main headquarters, rescue Mijo and all the prisoners, and kill Ava Page. The rebels think he's insane since Wicked's main facility is the most secure location on Earth, but Thomas doesn't care anymore. Vince and the others realize they're tired of losing. They agree to help Thomas plan an impossible assault on Wicked itself. If you're still watching, this means you survived the full story. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.